Well, we're live inside my old garage here tonight. We've got the old 11 horsepower industrial commercial Briggs on the bench. Yesterday, I made this thing run, and it seemed to run really good. So I guess the next objective is we're going to clean this thing up and detail it and put everything back together the way it's supposed to be. I've still got I got the carburetor all cleaned out. That seemed to work alright. Of course, this stuff's all got to be cleaned up and lubed up. I'm going to repaint the whole engine too. I'm going to try to save this nice looking decal. This is amazingly still in pretty good shape. So I've got the air cleaner here for it. That stuff's all got to be cleaned up and detailed and put back together. But I gotta get a new muffler for it. I noticed, I don't know if you guys noticed yesterday, but it's kind of loud. The end's blowing out of it. But starter's got to be lubed up. That thing was actually stuck too. I had to grab it with a pair of water pump pliers and free that up too. That wouldn't turn when I went to start it yesterday. But this will be an interesting project, and I made my mind up, I guess, today. We're going to put this on the 1970 snapper. Well, we're back in the old garage tonight. Work has begun on this 11 horsepower industrial commercial Briggs that I am going to be installing on a 1970 snapper. It's a 307X. Originally had a 7 horsepower Briggs on it. We're going to beef her up a little and put this big old 11 on it. So obviously this thing's been sitting outdoors for a long time and it was pretty rusty. Got a couple of issues. Obviously you can see that I've cleaned all the paint and most of the rust off of this end plate and the head bolts. And this is what I got for an issue. I gotta get the exhaust bolts out of this stupid thing. I broke them off. Probably if I'd been smart, I should have tried to take them out of there the other day when I had this thing warmed up, but I never thought about it, so it is what it is. I'll take it to work with me tomorrow and see if I can get them out of there. Obviously I degreased this thing some, scraped all the major crud off in it. It's quite a bit cleaner. I think while I got it at work tomorrow, once these exhaust bolts are removed, I think I'm going to give it a bath in the parts washer and give it a good degreasing. I worked on some of the external stuff here tonight. That's a governor control. I obviously took every little piece off, the plastic pieces out of it, so that it could be wire brushed and cleaned up. Cleaned up that old starter some. That's ready to prime and paint. There's the shield off the bottom of the cylinder head, and that, remember the other day I was showing about that being loose and rattling around down in there. There's a bolt that's bolt holes broke through for whatever reason. Should be pretty easy to fix. A couple washers will take care of that. Cleaned up this air inlet screen that goes on the flywheel. I cleaned up this old air box some, this air cleaner box. Obviously this thing used to be chrome, kind of. Had some kind of a chrome plating on it. I guess I'm just probably going to paint it. That's the piece that holds the air filter down. And I gave this old flywheel a little bit of a tune up the other day. When I think you might have noticed, if you noticed the other day when it was running, it was misfiring and spitting and sputtering quite bad, and the magnet on this flywheel was quite rusty. Obviously we got that cleaned up. That's the exhaust pipe. I got to reuse that. This machine obviously has to have this exhaust that goes around and exits the back. What else have I got here? Oh yeah, here's the magnetron ignition. I gave that a little wire brush treatment, cleaned it up. Hopefully it works better than it was the other day. It wasn't really starting real good the other day. That thing is, those get rusty like that. Sometimes I don't know, it changes something with them. The gap was a little bit wide between this and the flywheel too, so that doesn't help matters any either. There's the old carburetor. It don't look too bad, but it worked better than it looked, I can tell you that much. Inside of it's still a little corroded. Obviously, it's going to be until it gets run for a little while. But, so I'm kind of looking forward to this. Obviously, move this air cleaner tag. Obviously, I've got to put some guts back in this starter housing, and this has got to be all cleaned up. I have an idea for this. I still want to use a side-mounted saddle tank on that machine, and if I leave this starter housing on here, the gas tank's going to be right in the road of the starter. So I have the 1970 7-horsepower engine. It has the aluminum housing that bolts on. You can see the little bolt holes here, and I think that I'm going to remove this housing off of here, and I think I'm going to put that bolt-on one on here. I'd like to keep this cover with this engine because obviously it has all that crucial information. As you can see, that motor was manufactured 9 of 1984, looking at the code on it. But anyways, I don't have much else for an update on this thing. It's going to be a slow process getting this thing cleaned up and ready to go. The machine's basically ready to assemble, but you know, if you're going to paint this thing, the details have got to look good too, and I get a little bit crazy sometimes, I guess, when I'm cleaning this stuff up. This old-fashioned arbor style grinder really got a good workout here tonight. It ran for more than an hour while I was polishing this stuff up. This old grinder came from my next door neighbor, an old guy that used to live next door in the house next door to me here. Had this mounted in his workshop over there when I was a little kid, and I used to use this all the time. 30 years ago, I used to break bicycle chains apart mostly with it. I'd grind the links and shorten up a bicycle chain or whatever if it got broken, or I had to put a new chain on or whatever. But so me and this old grinder go back a long ways. I actually looked up the date on that old General Electric motor. I looked up and that motor apparently dates from the 1930s. It's pretty amazing. It still works. You know, probably this arbor grinder is probably that old too. I wouldn't be surprised. It's wore a little bit. It rattles a little when it's running, but does a good job. Anyways, that's it. I'm done talking. Have a great rest of your day. See you later. Good evening. Coming to you live from the garage again. Got a quick little update on the old Briggs & Stratton industrial commercial engine. As you can see, it is considerably cleaner. I put it through the parts washer at work. Took it to work with me today in the back of my car, and I got almost all the old oily grease off of it. And most importantly, I got those broken bolts out of the exhaust port, so I can bolt the exhaust system back on. As far as I'm concerned, this thing's ready for some paint. I'm not going to get too carried away with this because obviously I could waste hours and hours and hours on that, and I'm not going to do it. I'm painting it white. Did get the end of it. I polished it up a little bit. It was pretty dirty, but looks pretty good considering it's a 1984 engine. I even went so far as to wash it out in there, and I cleaned the bottom of it right up. Obviously the oil plug's not tight and it's still drizzling a little oil out of it, even after I drained it and dumped it out the other day. So obviously it's ready for paint. I don't know how much painting I'm going to get done here over the weekend. It looks to me like it's going to rain really hard here about any time, and this workbench happens to be one of the places the roof leaks in this old dump of a garage, so it gets pretty wet here when it's raining. So we'll see how everything progresses. I guess that's it for now. Once I get this painted, obviously I'm going to start putting it back together. But anyways, have a good one. I'll see you guys later.